Hey, good morning, everyone. Today is Sunday, July 21st, 2024. My name is Vincent Blasio. I'm Vinny Blasio, and I am here. The opinions that are expressed therein are opinions of my own. I represent nobody but myself. I represent no other entity, unions, labor organizations, government, or anything. I reside in the state of Florida, and you do not have permission without written consent for me to reproduce or distribute this video. So real quick, we'll get back on some of the things that we talked about last Saturday. And by now, I wanted to let things cool down with the topic of the two prison closures. So as we know, we both heard that Sullivan and Great Meadow have now been chosen to close. And we both probably can see through the political bullshit to know why they closed, especially when Sullivan and Great Meadow have special needs unit for max facilities of inmates. They can say that the population of Great Meadow, is diminished, and that's reason for closure. But we all know that everything, when it boils down to, it has nothing to do with some of the things that I've been reading about construction needs and everything else. As I posted in one of the very first videos of some of the other jails, they were still finishing construction years after closure because they had to honor contracts. So, but in the commissioner's infinite wisdom to close two prisons, that isn't the biggest news. In a press release, in the memo he released to union presidents and he put out to the media, he proudly boasted if recruitment fails, which again, the recruitment aspect of correction officers, which the state is in dire need of, no doubt, rests solely on him and the agency. The union doesn't promote recruitment. That fully is a management prerogative and responsibility. So basically, the commissioner is saying that he failed doing his job, which we'll get into a little later. But basically he's saying that I cannot do my duties as commissioner. I may need to close more, and it may be necessary if recruitments fail or do not progress, that we'll have to pick up on further closures or close up to 3 more. So that's an idiotic statement in itself. So in his own words, let's close more, as the media outlets have even picked up, mind you. Let's force transfer people out of one facility, and then it's highly possible that they get to another facility and then say, okay, we're going to close that one and be forced transferred again. I mean, that statement in itself in that memo is just ludicrous. Let's throw gasoline onto a fire and gaslight everybody and say, oh my God, it's a recruitment problem, help, help, help. But then you're gonna tell people that's just gonna force more resignations and people saying, screw you. I mean, even if it's not possible, because it seems like in the words of that memo, they were carefully worded. So that tells me that, it seems like it has to happen in this fiscal year. And as I'm reading here, but nothing stops them from enacting it again in the next year's budget. I mean, pretty soon they're going to run out of room, and should the pendulum swing the other way, DOCCS is going to have to address that. But that's their issue. They created this problem. But the bigger issue is, even if this doesn't come to fruition, Dan Marticello III has created chaos on purpose. His own words, his own ineptness, and that memo that he puts out really throws gasoline into an already bad situation. He screws over his own staff instead of protecting them or helping them. So if I get forced out of Great Meadow today, I get to a facility, whether it's through the RIF or I play the game, no matter what it is, I get to the facility. Maybe I finally make it home, and I even get to a jail far away because I played the RIF list correctly. And now all of a sudden I'm going to sit there and say, okay, and then I find out that down the road, guess what? I'm forced transferred again. Now I have to find somewhere else. Where does that put me? I mean, it's just crazy. You're playing with people's lives, and even if it isn't true in this fiscal year, it is possible that it doesn't happen in the next fiscal year. But the wording of that, and to put that in a memo, and if you looked at the different media outlets, they've already picked up on this. We're going to see more closures. They didn't say, I think the one in the Hudson area said, we will see. So where they were getting that information from, the memo says it may be necessarily, but why even put that in there? Why gaslight people? I mean, this is what we're dealing with. And then you also, you have besides the media headlines, you read, I posted those on my news group. It seems like Senator Salazar, who boasts about the closure and specifically was so happy to see Great Meadow close, in her words, it seems like DOCCS and Salazar are parroting each other. So they're speaking with one mind, they're using the same catchphrases, they're using the same mantra, almost like Marticello and Salazar are one and the same. And it seems like, her blessing for him to get the commissioner has paid off, but now he has to pay the devil and wear the Salazar costume. So the talking points, if you look at the media and you look at the press releases by both, are one and the same. And Senator Salazar has already sliced the throats of every correction officer in the agency with the halt and everything else that she has passed or tries to. And if you look at some of the other legislation that is just incorrigible for officers, how can anyone support her, let alone speak in one voice? And that again leads to politics. Politics make strange bedfellows. So maybe both Senator Salazar and the commissioner should spend time together. Let's get them out to a facility on a weekend and let's have them work a 24-hour shift at a facility. Let them take over a mandated correction officer post, and both of them can sit there and listen to the cries of the inmates, cries of the staff, cries of the correction officers. Let them work it. Maybe then they won't be speaking in one collective voice. Maybe their eyes will be open. We both know that that's hyperbole and it won't happen, but what better way to get the eyes open than to actually have them do that? And we'll get into something else because it's not just them that needs to work. It's also some of the administrations at certain facilities that work against the officers and placating their own career advancement and happy or just stirring the pot. But we've addressed that and beat that drum to death. So we'll speak on some other things that what we could possibly do. And speaking of collective voices, let's get into some of the officers aspect. As you know, I'm retired, so I don't have a nickel in it. I retired as a lieutenant, but I also was obviously an officer as a sergeant and a lieutenant, and I still have family, friends, and colleagues that I care deeply about to keep pursuing this issue. So we'll keep this to the 7-minute mark, and we'll get into part 2 just here in a second. Thank you.